That would have been 11 a.m. my time. That would have been perfect. And then
Six
you went to
hours
bed
ago. It was 6 hours ago I went to bed.
And Ike, you went to bed at 4. If you would have just stayed up till 5, we could have just done the show, and you guys could be raggedy ass tired, and I would have been fresh as a daisy.
No, I could have done a 2 a.m. show.
Could you actually do a 2 a.m. show?
It would have been it'd be easier for me to do a 2 a.m. show than
Holy shit!
Than an 8 a.m. show.
Hello! I'm Joe.
I am Eric.
And I am the Ike.
And you're listening to Just Cool Enough. And it's too early to be joke. Shut up.
I'd like to extend my deepest apologies to Eric for recording at 7, 8 a.m. local time for him.
Yeah, it's 8 a.m. That it wouldn't be so bad if I was like, okay, I'll wake up like 7:30, and then as my body was like, nah, it's not time for bed yet. I was like, let's make it 7:45.
So, but you went to bed super late. I
went to bed when I normally go to bed, which is what my body was like. Listen, this is our bedtime, 2 a.m. You can't go to bed earlier. I was like, but what if I want to and try really hard? They're like, no. What if you watch 2 episodes of Letterkenny instead?
Oh, yeah.
But on the flip side, you were like, this is the time I want to get up. And that's when your body was like, no.
Yeah.
Exact opposite. I was like, I want to. Okay, fine. We'll wake up at 7:45, and my body was like 6:30. What if we woke up at 6:30? I'm like, why? This because you need to wake up early. I was like, well, not this early, body. And they're like, well, I don't know what to tell you.
It's your circadian rhythm is just fully in control. Like it is just like no.
It's been the worst part about becoming an adult. It's like now this is February break for me. I'm like, I'm looking forward to it. And like I would say up until like the last 2 nights, like last night I went to bed at 4 a.m. EST, and the night before that I went to bed at like 1 or 2, and then every other night this week I've gone to bed at like 10. I woke up at like 6:30.
It's
like, I'm like, this is not what I want in my life. What happened to those days in college where I could go to bed at 4, wake up at 4:30, and be ready to go to class for 7? And
well, the old man problem is like you get like 5.5, 6 hours of sleep, and your body's just like, it's time to pee. Like that's it, and then like the rest of your sleep is just bullshit from there on out.
I want to blame it on my age, but I feel like I've always been a guy who likes an 8 hours of sleep. You know, I like even as a kid, I was like, you know, I'd sleep. I'd try and get if I'm like, 7.5 hours. Oh, I'm tired all day. You know, it's like give me a solid 8 to 9 hours in order to function.
Really? See, so like you're one of those.
I can do like my body will put up with less because I've had jobs before, you know. Obviously I've had to wake up this time like my body. I am surprised at how easy it is for me to wake up sometimes when I get like 6 hours, but I just hate it. I don't like it. I think it's more of it's less my body wants me to do it and I just want me to do it.
That's like mind over matter, because I can't do that. If my body's up and it's just like, well, you slept for 6.5 hours and good luck with the rest of your day. Like have fun staying up for the next 13 hours.
Enjoy being tired all day, but too awake to nap.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, don't do a midday nap. When was the last time you did one of those?
The problem is my naps don't hit midday. It's usually like I'll be fine, and then it'll be like 6 o'clock, and my body's like, time for a nap, which is the worst time to take a nap because you wake up and it's 10 and you're still tired, but you're gonna be awake until at least 3.
That is the worst nap time. Like if you're napping around dinner time, that your body's like actively has it out for your brain.
Yeah. I'm like I should have just stayed up a couple more hours and then gone to bed early, but no.
Like, are you a napper?
I start dragging ass around 3 o'clock every day. Between 3 and 6, I'm just like, if I'm watching television, I'm just like nodding off. Like
that's.
And like then at like 9 o'clock, I'm like, okay, body, I have to get up for 6:30. Let's do this. It's like, no, No, you had your chance. This car was going that direction 4 hours ago, and now we're just going. I'm like, damn it.
I remember in high school, I don't know what it was, but like every day at like 4 or 4:30, I'd take a nap. I don't know what I don't like. It would just I'd be fine, and I'd go to bed normal times. I think maybe it was just because you're a kid and you want to sleep more than society lets you. But like I would always, it'd be like 4 I'd like watch Dragon Ball Z on Toonami and then like conk out for like an hour or two and wake up just in time for dinner on the couch, you know.
Oh man, those were the days. I can't even like if I wanted to take a nap, that's just I don't even know if my body would let me at this point. I think I would just sit there on the couch and just be like a total like like I'm in a coffin. I could just sit there and maybe try to go comatose, but it won't happen. Although I can sleep on like I had to teach myself how to sleep on planes, and that comes in handy once in a while. But when I first started going on, like even traveling, like I can't look at a screen and like be in a car, otherwise I get car sick. But eventually I like taught myself how to sleep on a plane.
I never had a problem sleeping on planes, but I do remember the when 2 years ago when I went to Europe the last time, I was like, I'm taking like the red eye and like I'm landing in the morning. So it's like, here's the plan. I'm gonna like I got on the plane. I took a melatonin that I brought with me, and then I drank 2 mini bottles of wine, and then I was like, I'm just gonna fucking sleep. This will be great. So I started watching the first Jumanji movie. Which was all right, but I was like, all right, time for me to pass out. And then I woke up an hour later, or like, and like, fuck. I was like, what the fuck? I was
that
like,
feeling.
I was like, it's been like an hour. What the fuck? Like, I still have 10 hours left on this flight. What the hell?
You should.
And then I just stayed up. I watched a couple of movies and stuff, and then I landed in London, and I was like, shit. And then I just went about my fucking day. Like,
oh, that's the worst.
It was
that
like
day.
it was like 10 a.m. in London. I was like, shit.
That happened to me on the way to Australia. I just remember like try to sleep on the plane and see if you can put yourself somewhat into the cycle of the place that you're going, so it'll be easier. And so I remember the same thing. I'm like, all right, well, this is about like 10 p.m. like Australian time. I'll go to sleep. And like I woke up 2 hours later. I'm like, I'm kind of like my brain's still a little fried. It's like, you're not going back to sleep now.
I feel
this is your life.
I feel like
now.
that's like that feeling you get when you wake back up on like a long haul flight like that is like you're blasting off to Alpha Centauri, and like your cryogenic sleep chamber just opens up, like, and it's only been 40 years, and you're like, shit, I have to live the rest of my life like this.
You look around and everyone else is working still. You're like, how are they doing this?
No, my favorite is like, you know, when it's like they've turned down the lights because they know everyone's planning to sleep because it's one of those late flights, and you're like, time to sleep, and you're like, oh, it must have been hours. It's been 45 minutes. Everyone else is asleep. You're like, oh fuck, I'm like the guy whose pod doesn't work, so I have to like sit there for the entire you know 16-year journey, like just like maintaining the craft for everyone.
you are, yeah. Oh my gosh.
I remember on the way to Australia, I got to LA, and that was fine. And then when we went from LA, which is the long haul part, from LA to Australia, and I'm in the plane in the back and like sitting next to my wife, and we're all pumped. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go like take a nap. And I put my seat back. I'm like, I can't put the seat back. It's not. And I'm like, so like I called over the flight attendant, and they're like, no, you gotta. It's you pull the lever and you push the. I don't know. I think yours is broken, sir. Your seat doesn't go back. I'm like, this is gonna be a fantastic time. I'm like, well, you can sit in the seat in front of you because there was nobody there. But I'm like, but there was a person there when I started this flight, unless something happened to them and they're out on the wing. But they're like, no. Like I waited for 45 minutes. Person never came back. I guess they had somebody like they knew further back, so they were bouncing between 2 seats. So I just sat in their seat and went to sleep. But at the same thing, that's when I was like 2 hours later, woke up. I'm like, oh God, we almost got to be there. Oh, son of a
airplane seats and also bus seats have this perfect area of recline that can lure you into this like half-baked sleep where you're kind of like But like
it feels like they're purposely designed so that you're unable, like you're unable to sleep, like you're unable to ever fully relax or sleep.
Right, like your neck cannot like lean. It's like
you
go 10 degrees, it's perfect, but then 11 or 12 degrees, it's just so messed up.
The pad is set for 11 or 12 degrees or whatever.
The pad is set to be just outside the reach of comfortability. Like if your neck were like 3 inches like left or right, like off centered from your shoulders, then it would be perfect. But because your neck is perfectly in the center of your body,
I haven't met one person that was like, airplane seats perfectly designed for my body. It's like they went for the middle ground and absolutely struck nothing for no one. It's the worst. And then
one of those neck pillows. You get one of those neck pillows, and those are nice and squishy. Like, oh, this is great, but like they're all built on a U shape. So you put your neck back, and then your head just kind of rolls to one side, and rolls to the other side. Like, okay, this doesn't work either. Like, there's nothing there to keep the neck pillow. It needs to be a cube. I need something there. And I know they make the little like flaps now on the sides of that, but that still doesn't quite.
It's like this weird plane stasis of no sleep, and your head's just bobbling around. And you're like, what do I do?
With the blinders on, you fold the
I think it. I think it makes you doubly tired too. It's like it's like going through 3 days of actual living and then being that tired when you land.
I feel as though, and I don't like to be this person, but I feel like both the airline and neck pillow industries designed themselves to be like, it's like they're like, should we make the seats more comfortable? No, because then the neck pillow industry will go out of business. And they're like, well, they're not that comfortable either. Well, yeah, they don't want to be too comfortable because they want to sell premium neck pillows. It's like I'm not saying that they are working together.
Colluding. They're not colluding.
Yeah, they're not colluding, but like it feels like they are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
it's like how we can't make our tax code any easier or less problematic for people, because then that'll put TurboTax out of business.
Yeah. What is H&R Block going to do? Those poor people. The thing is, like, when you talk about airplane seats, they're like, oh, airplane safety is our number one thing. Like, safety. It's like, listen, if the seat has to save me, we're fucked anyway. I would rather just have a really comfortable seat while the plane's working. And like, you know, if we're going to run into the water or smash into the side of a mountain.
At least I'll have gotten a good night's sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll be all the way out and it'll just be like over in an instant kind of thing. Like,
just wait. I mean, they're trying to push they're trying to just cram more people in there and like let they care less and less about comfort. There was like this photo going around like a year or two ago of like, it was some convention where like someone's like, check out this new seat design, and it was essentially a thing that you straddle. Yeah, you were standing up the whole time, like it was one of those seats that you sit in a roller coaster, and you're like fuck you.
Yeah. Oh my God. The roller coaster I'm thinking of, if you've ever been to Ohio, if you've ever been to Cedar Point on America's Rocky and Roller Coast in Sandusky, Ohio, there's a roller coaster called the Mantis. And I think for you, Eric, it'd be like the Superman, right? Like,
for me,
I don't know.
Is the standing, there's a couple of standing ones. I think the one is I think Riddler's Revenge is the standing one. That ride fucking sucks. Because you're standing, it's like that. It's got like, it straddles your fucking balls and makes you stand up. But it because of the way it's designed, your head like bounces around and smacks the fucking sides of it. It's like I'm too tall for it, so like I'm not standing, but I'm not sitting. So it's like I physically hurt myself when I did it.
So if you've never been on a standing roller coaster, imagine like a banana shaped bike seat just like sticking out from your pelvic region.
Yeah, imagine not being able to sit, but not being able to stand and being locked in that position.
So the last time I went on one of those, and I'll tell you why it's the last time I went on one of those, is as they lock you in right before the thing goes. So they're like, okay, stand in a comfortable position. And then like the operator presses the button. I was jumping up and down because I was exploring the limits of like the hydraulic system on the seat. I was like, oh, this is cool. It has like a damper and a spring. And I got locked in, sitting just slightly off of my feet. And I rode the whole ride on my taint. It was pretty painful, honestly. Like I used every ounce of my piddly upper body strength to just try to not be hurting. It was really bad.
Yeah, because you're like, this is a comfortable position. Then someone comes and yanks you down and you're like, and then it locks in, and you're like, fuck my hips. And you're like, what the fuck? And they're like, all right, go now. Sit here for 2 minutes while we wait for it to start. You're like, can I get off? Go. And then they go, and then it's like your head is not supported to your neck at all. So you're like slamming your head.
You need the neck pillow from the airplane.
Yeah. You honestly do, because like it was boxing my fucking ears, and like my hips were like feel like they're. I was like, this ride blows.
Guys, you know how I'm always thinking of great products, right? Product idea for airplanes and for roller coasters. What if, but mainly for airplanes, don't use this on a roller coaster. What if there was
paint
like
pillows, right? Paint pillow? That's where you're going with this?
Yeah. No. I'm saying a strap, like a belt or like a Velcro strap that you attach to the back of the seat. Oh, I guess that would cover up somebody's screen. I guess you'd be a real asshole doing this. You'd just cover up somebody's screen right behind you and put the Velcro strap right above your forehead so it keeps your head back so you can be in like the perfect position, and then fly the whole way like that. And then as a bonus, you can have like little eye covers on it too, to like, you know.
Yeah, and then for extra support, we'll wrap it around your neck. So in the case of any sudden movement, you fucking break your neck. Just tie a rope around your fucking
at the top of your head.
So,
the top.
So what you
Think
do
about
is
it.
the two little wings that come out for you, so your head doesn't roll around too much, but they don't
Those
actually
neck
do anything.
supports, yeah.
Yeah. You wrap it around the top and wrap the strap around your chin, and then you wrap it around the bottom and strap it around your head, so you're locked in like this on the both your chin and your forehead.
So like you're in an executioner's table.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck?
Exactly like that. So if you're in PTSD from being an electric chair.
Yeah.
The number one way people get injured on planes is not being properly strapped in. And the way people die on planes is because
we think we can make that number go up.
It's easier just to pay off like a family that lose a person than somebody who's very badly injured. So it's like this is like a win-win for everyone. But what I'm saying here is when you are in that airplane seat, you have to really ratchet that belt the most you can to actually get any sort of protection, because the way injuries happen is people slide forward and then under the seats, and that's how people get injured. So this, your head would be very secure.
So you're not going to slide down.
Yeah, you won't slide down
by your neck. So it would only cause minor spinal injuries to the back of your neck, where your skull and your spine.
Or maybe it works like a chiropractor, Maybe it's like one of those things that help you out.
Well rested, and I have full movement. Oh man, I didn't have this for years.
My range of motion is restored.
Did you ever know? This is one of my favorite things that, like, whenever it comes up, you know where the term hungover came from?
No, what is it?
It's basically back in ye olde times when you'd be out like drinking all night and you'd need a place to crash. Like, hotels cost a lot of money, but you could pay next to nothing to go to these places, the giant like abandoned warehouses, where they would lay out a long taut like line, and you would pay like whatever, like 6 pence or whatever, and you would literally you would just lean your body over this and hang over this line, and it was like, it was a cheap way for like the homeless and stuff, or people who needed a place to crash, to like, you would basically you would lay there, and then at like 6 a.m. somebody would cut the rope, and that would be your wake up call.
See, that I would have to be so drunk for that, because like I mean, you just got to get blackout and then go to somebody has to take me there.
Either like super drunk or super desperate. Yeah, that's how because it would be a lot cheaper.
So anyway, how is
basically I'm thinking that, but planes.
That's gonna be the seat you were talking about, or like Ryanair or whatever, like some cheap flight place is just gonna hang people over.
Coming soon to Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, definitely Spirit. Yeah, no, $20, standing room only. You could bring anything you can carry, and then so you got all these guys with these
honestly, I know Spirit gets a lot of hate. I respect them because they are upfront about what they are. They don't lie to you. They've never once lied to you. Not yes, fucking water costs money on that flight, but you know that because you're on Spirit. That's the point. I remember I was taking Spirit once. home from a place, and like there was this woman who was complaining because like they're like, oh, your bag's too big, we're gonna have to charge it, because they're like, you can get a free one and if it's a certain size or like bigger, and she's like, but all my stuff, it's like, she's like, it's $60. She's like, I'm not paying $60. Like I'll throw these clothes away. It's like, ma'am, this is our policy. Like I was like it's fucking Spirit Airlines. You knew that. You're just trying to yell to get your yeah, like it's fucking Spirit Airlines. If you didn't check that, that's on you.
Yeah. So like Spirit Airlines is like the ultimate like capitalist experiment, right? Like how low can you go at price and what amenities are you willing to cut? I wouldn't be surprised by next year, because the airline industry is in like such dire strait, where they're going to be like, do you want the oxygen first or second? Like if the things drop from the top, like if for an extra $20 you could secure your oxygen mask.
If they could charge for the oxygen they pump in the cabin, they might. Yeah, it's like would you like your cabin pressurized?
Do you want to be in the pressurized cabin or the non-pressurized cabin?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to be in the non-pressurized cabin? Well, you have to buy the suit. So, did you you bought a suit yet? Like, there's just like an upsell.
Yeah, you're actually you actually paid. Yeah, it's $20 cheaper to sit in the unpressurized cabin, but because of that, federal guidelines won't let us put you in there unless you have a suit. So you can buy the suit for us, which is equals out to twice the price that you would be paid, or if you can bring your own suit.
Yeah, but of course, you only buy the suit once. So if you're going to travel a lot, it makes a lot of sense if you're just going to be there. Like you got like a sack of 40-pound sack of potatoes and like stuff
for $25. We can hang you off the side of the airplane, but you have to buy you have to buy your own like a little metal skiff that you sleep in.
Yeah, these carabiners are meant for climbing, so don't worry, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Also, do you want to be in the plane with the sanded down edges or the non-sanded down edges? Because if you go in the non-sanded down edges one, there's a chance your suit may catch on one of the edges of the chairs and rip a hole in it. In which case, you'll have to buy one of our suits. But you can get for an extra charge. You
can buy a patch kit. They sell patch kits.
Hey, speaking of sanding out edges, like I logged into Facebook for a hot second and saw some amazing things that you made, and they are 3D printed. It seemed you're doing some amazing stuff. Thanks. Can you talk about that, please? I'm like,
yeah, that's. Thank God you did that, because nobody else in this group has done anything interesting.
Well, I just thought that was. I just logged into Facebook and I saw.
Eric, first time he's cool like, stuff. What? Not how's your week, Eric? He starts with me, and all of a sudden, this great.
Well, no, I'm just tired of Joe was like, oh, guys, we got to do a show. I just moved to fucking Netherlands. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna spend an hour and a half talking to Eric and Ike about airplane food, and it's like, oh, we don't have time to talk about maybe next week.
I've been looking over Joe's shoulder at presumably what looks to be an electric plug over his right hand shoulder that doesn't look American, but Joe's in quarantine somewhere in the middle of the Netherlands in an undisclosed location. It is.
I think they have the similar plugs in the Netherlands.
It's nice. Yeah, Netherlands is very nice. But I just wanted to talk about Ike's thing. It was cool.
Okay. Can we make sure that we at least get to the fact that you fucking moved out of this country?
And that's why. I mean, it's the least you could do for getting Eric up at 6:30 in the morning.
Okay. What do you want to know? I moved to a different country.
No, we're talking about Ike now.
Okay.
You had your chance.
Yeah.
Ike made this splendid piece of 3D printed art.
About this one?
What is this? Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I saw that. But I was talking about like there was like a tower. Yeah, you were talking about that last night. This is for your game stuff for D&D matches. Matches. What do you call it, Eric? What is a D&D session?
Yeah. No, it's 3D printed, and I still have to paint the inside. But basically, when I first started getting into 3D printing, I had gotten like a resin printer to print D&D minis. And then one of the things that came with the minis that I had bought, like with the pack, was like, oh, it's this building that you can print. So I tried to put that in my resin printer like program. I'm like, these pieces are way too big to be printed on a resin printer. I mean, you can break them down and then glue them, but that would take like 40 days. So
40 nights.
Yep.
This Bible reference. Boom, right there. Take that.
So I haven't painted the inside of this thing. I'm holding up for all the people at home to see who can't, because
So it's a 3-level like
For all the listeners at home, it looks like garbage.
It is absolute garbage.
No, I love the paintwork on it.
Thanks.
So you had
it
to
looks
paint that
really
yourself?
good on camera. If you get really close to it, you realize how shitty all the paint
Yeah, I
is.
imagine you see like the filament lines and stuff like that up close.
No, I'm just talking about the actual paint job. Like, you're like, wait, you
Okay.
didn't get this whole brick painted here, and like, there's a little bit of like stuff sticking out there.
Oh, now that you mention it, yeah, it does actually. I was joking before, but yeah, it looks like hot trash. You should feel ashamed.
I do.
You know,
I do.
there's a saying that the car people say is like good from afar, but far from good. Like that's
That's my
the saying.
artwork in general. Actually, it doesn't just apply to things that I printed. That's why everything looks really good on my Instagram account, because it shrinks it down. But when you blow that shit up and try to hang it on a wall, it looks like garbage.
That's actually my life motto. So that's how it is.
February break has provided me with hours of time of just sitting around painting miniatures and printing things.
Well, I'm glad you finally got a 3D printer that works. You know.
Yeah, no,
Is that
and now I have a 3D printer where I can print parts to make a 3D printer. And that was the first thing with the other one that I have, which I do plan on like getting working again. I spent the money on it, but like people when I went on the Facebook group were like, I'm like, hey, this is the problem I'm having. Like, well, what you want to do is you want to print out this part here so that I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand that my printer doesn't work. So I would love to be able to print upgrades, but I can't print just regularly. So that's not happening. So now I have a printer
like-
where I can
yeah.
print upgrades.
That's like the early days of like computers when you only had one computer and your computer would break, and it was like pre-smartphone, and you're just like, well, now what do I do? Like, but nowadays, like everybody has multiple computers and like multiple USB drives to like restart things, and you just you don't have to worry as much. So now you're living large. You have 2 3D printers now. Are you?
Well, I have 3, but only 2 of them work.
Okay. But between the 2, you can make all the pieces to make your first one work, right?
Yep.
There you
So
go.
what I've started to do is actually printing for the day that 2028 when my friends can all get back together again comfortably. I've been starting to print out. I've been working on a D&D campaign, so I've been printing all the pieces that I plan to use.
I hope that day comes eventually. Who knows? I
Yeah,
have
it's just down the road, not too far from now.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't. I hope this is forever.
Careful what you wish for, Eric.
Oh my God, Eric. So I did travel to the Netherlands. I am quarantined here.
We're out of time. It's 8:30.
Is it time already? I have no idea what time is. Oh God. So I did travel to the Netherlands and saw some amazing things along the way. But kind of in our past discussion, we were talking about airplanes.
How many stroopwafels you have?
I've had 5 so far, and I've only been here for like 4 days, so I'm like 1.2 a day.
Going easy on it.
Yeah,
like that was the first thing I did was buy a giant pack of stroopwafels for the 2 days I was in Amsterdam.
So this is the problem, though. So I'm quarantining, so I can't just
okay.
go to the Albert Heijns or whatever it's called.
Yeah, you can't just go to the grocery store that's in the train station.
Yeah, it's just like I'm following strict quarantine guidelines, and apparently I'm the only person in the entire country that is doing so. Because to my surprise, as I landed in the Netherlands and I walked out onto the street, once I got out of the secure area in the airport, nobody's wearing masks. Nobody. And it was quite the shock to me and my like, hey, let's hold up in a house for yourself and do nothing and get everything delivered and wipe down everything with Lysol and blah, blah, blah. People here in the Netherlands, like I've been to the Netherlands. I've been here for months of my life. I always knew that they just were like, whatever. But these guys, they're just like very chill about this whole thing.
Did you not like watch the news over the last year?
You forget being an American, you have a very American-centric view. And you forget that you think like America is doing a terrible job with this pandemic and what's wrong with us. Look at Australia, look at New Zealand, look at Japan, look at all these other places. You forget that also there are like you're like America's the worst. And you're like, oh no, we're pretty much everyone is being a fucking idiot right now.
This is the thing. So it's like I looked at I'm like, what? Okay. Nobody's wearing masks here. The first Airbnb we went to, because the plan was get off the plane, go to the Airbnb, stay there for 10 days, and then go to Germany. That's the plan right now. I'm in the middle of that part of the plan. but we went to the first Airbnb, and it was like it was their first time hosting, and they did not have their stuff together at all, and we just kind of noped out of there and just got an Uber to a much nicer Airbnb. The place I'm in now is probably the nicest house I've ever been in for any extent of my time, like hands down. And I love it. I might hate leaving here, but also I can only live here for a short amount of time because it's very expensive. So yeah, I could live here for at least a few months, and then I'd have to come back to the US and live in my parents' basement. But so
what's wrong with that, Joe? Eric's clearly in his parents' basement.
Eric doesn't have a child. He can do whatever he wants.
You don't know that.
You never asked.
That would be the ultimate. Oh my God! I hope you have a kid. I hope you have a whole family. We just never asked about it.
Well, the only thing is you have to have had sex.
Okay. Allegedly.
So someday.
Wait, what?
Someday
you're supposed to have sex before you have kids?
Yeah. That's what I hear.
Something's going on wrong with my life.
Honey,
Sarah just.
We've been married.
I gotta talk to Sarah about
a couple
something.
of years now, and she says we have to wait. We still waiting.
Yeah. I thought it was like when you turn 65, you're allowed, like when you retire or whatever.
Since we held hands, she got pregnant. I thought that was
that's what my mom told me how it worked. So we'll get her into this conversation. That's not weird. Anyway, the Netherlands. So I looked at the data after we noped out of that first place and kind of were like, okay, what are we doing? We took an Uber and we're in this really nice tiny town and it's great, but nobody here is wearing a mask and nobody's even concerned about it. And we're walking around with these like KN95, like we flew through the airport double masked and had the Lincoln electric shields on, the same ones that Christina had, because we were like strategizing about how to travel safely. And everybody here is just like, yeah, whatever, like they're not even keeping social distance. The only reason they're social distancing is because they can see the nervousness in Sarah and my eyes, and they're like, oh, okay, these
down and
yeah,
they're drowning in their masks.
I had to ask a couple people. I was like, hey, what is going on here? Like, what do they just not care, or what's going on? And because like
you're the weird ones.
Yeah, I am the weird ones. It's true. And the Dutch are just like, yeah, we just stay away from people. Well, like when we go to shopping, we wear our thing, but like it's not even like a few people are just taking their mask off when they get out of here. It's just like mask off as soon as they're like out of the parking lot area. But everybody seems to be doing an okay job. And so I had to look up the data. I'm like, per million, how many people are dying or suffering from this? And the number is actually lower than the entire US and actually lower than the area that I was in. So weirdly enough, I am in a safer area and nobody's wearing masks. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. And
I think maybe some of it is if you're probably like walking around in public, it's not like, because you need to spend some time around some people is the easiest way to catch it. So the problem is in America, it's not just that like people are going to the grocery store and walking their dogs without masks. The problem is that everyone is like, let's go to the beach. Let's go throw a Super Bowl party. Well, we can't skip Christmas this year. We can't skip Thanksgiving. We can't skip Easter. We can't skip President's Day. It's a President's Day barbecue with all my friends.
So that's and what I do, the other big factor that I had to I had to ask all of my like European friends and my Netherlands friends. I didn't ask Freck though. I should have asked him, but I was like, what's going on here? And they were like, well, we don't have to work if we're sick, so that's that pretty much cuts down on the numbers there. They're like, if we're sick, we can just not come to work. And, I was like, oh yeah,
most people. A lot of people in America are getting it at their jobs because their bosses have them come in, and even when they are like trying to make things, it's like, oh, if you're not feeling sick, don't show up. It's like, but I can't like, but if you're like, I get like 2 6 days a year, or whatever, Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to, like people that are sick can just like click a button and like get money from the government and don't have to worry nearly as much. And then also people are generally healthier here. But God, man, it's really weird. I'm just like, now what if people wore masks like all the time? How much would that cut down on things? Because they still have school here. Like this is lockdown for the Dutch, and there's kids just at school, no mask. And I'm talking like maybe from 10 to down. Like I saw, is it primary school? What is it? Whatever the equivalent of like elementary school is. They were just like chilling, like playing like normal. And I was just
I think
like,
in the Netherlands is "You're in the fair."
Oh, you really nailed that pronunciation. So yeah, it was just, it's really weird. And it's opened my eyes, and I'm like, am I like in America? Have I been in like this like North Korea bubble of information that I have like been disregarding?
I mean, yes, but not.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like, so it's totally shifted my view on this entire thing, but also I mean, like, you look at the Dutch website, and they're just like the Dutch government, like health Ministry of Health website. It's right next to the Ministry of Magic and their web pages, and they're like, yeah, kids under 13, they're not a big deal. Like, you don't have to worry about them. They're pretty resilient when it comes to this virus. I'm like, where's the science? Like, I don't know. They're like, the government's saying this, and their transmission rates are pretty low. So anyway, I'm quarantined here for 10 days. It's wonderful. It's right on the canal. I'm doing well. And yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the next move is into Germany, because Germany's taking it a lot more seriously, it seems, but I don't know. I don't know. So I'm in a different part of the world, and it has definitely changed my perspective because I'm just amazed by the laissez-faire interpretation.
I mean, it's possible that like they've earned some of that laissez-faire thing by taking other parts of this seriously, but also like they should probably be taking it more seriously than they are.
Yeah.
But because like now it's getting like there's more the mutated versions are now spreading. But like I think that part of the thing is because America is so anti-science. It's like when it first came out, people were like deliberately trying, like it was like they purposely were like seeing how bad that we could.
They were trolling. They were
Yeah.
IRL trolling.
Yeah, like and by people I mean the government of the United States, the federal government was seeing how bad we could make it.
So that was weird, but positive side of things. I basically chartered an Airbus A330 across the Atlantic. The entire plane was empty. I think there might, on the spill sheet for the plane, with the passenger list for the plane, it had 25 people on it, and the rest were crew. And there might have been a total of like 35, maybe 40 people on that plane. And it was, a big transatlantic plane. And we did the Delta, like, Comfort Plus seats, like not first class because I ain't rich, but like I got that stimulus money, so like Comfort Plus, right? So and so yeah, we had like the nicer seats just so we could stretch out, and there was nobody in our section. We had the entire section to ourselves, and we had two like flight attendants just for us. There was like 2 people in first class, and in the potato seats in the back there was probably like 3 or 4 families. It was with a ton of, it was all a bunch of moms with kids traveling back to their dads in the Netherlands. Like we were the only, because everybody at the gate was just like talking. And once you got past, like, okay, you had to take a PCR test before you got on the plane, you had to take a rapid test while you're in the airport, so everybody there was like pretty safe. You seem it seemed, and so we were all just kind of talking with each other, and yeah, it was just like everybody's just going back to see their family and live with their family there, and it was a really cool flight. But that's where I'm at right now. The setup I have now is I bought a totally different setup than I thought I was going to have because of the weeks of just not being able to do a show with you guys. So hopefully this sounds all right, but it should be sustainable for shows in the future, even though the schedule is unset.
You sound a little, you're just going to play with the settings a little bit.
Please, can I just say, I'm happy that none of you can see it, but I can. I don't know if Joe's paying attention, but Ike is just been constantly just fact checking us throughout the show.
He's
and
doing
updating
a great
us
job.
in chat. So thank you so much.
It's not even fact checking. I'm putting it there so that you can put it in the show notes. So that way when people are like, I don't know, I've never been to Ohio because I live in the middle of not in the United States, they can at least see the mantis that Joe was talking about.
I love, actually, Ike, I was going to say that after the show, but I love that you're doing that because it's going to make the show notes writing so much easier. Thank you. I appreciate you. But yeah, so other weird things that I noticed in the Netherlands, other than, nobody's wearing a mask and the birds are extremely loud. I have no idea, but these birds
that's because they work for the bourgeoisie.
They're just like going to Greenland. That's where you need to go live.
Why Greenland?
Because I've played Plague Inc. with you, Joe, and we all know that it's the hardest place to get the virus to go. So they'll just close up a shop, and that's where humanity is going to make its last stand.
I thought it was the Congo also, like Greenland or the Congo.
No, the Congo is definitely not the place to go. That's where the pandemic started, if I remember any Hollywood movie.
I think that was, I don't know. Maybe there was like a volcano or something. Dutch bed sheets. One more thing about the Dutch here. Love the Stoopwaffles.
Do you think the guy lives over in where the Dutch are or something like that?
It's like I'm an American. I've been there for 3 days.
This windmill loving, clog wearing, Stoopwaffle eating piece of
garbage, piece of Schungagenstrafen. So I don't know anything about Dutch stuff. But one trend that I learned also is the bed sheets here. Like, I don't know if it's just a thing of where I've been saying, but everybody just has like one big comfy bed sheet. There's not like in every other country I've ever been in, including America, that's like you got a sheet, you got like a medium sheet, then you got like a big fluffy thing. What do they call those? Like Pottery Barn has a name for them.
Comforter?
A duvet, like comforter, all these different things.
Yeah, because you got your fitted sheet, and then you've got the other sheet you put on top of that, which is the one you sleep under, and then you've got a comforter if you want, or if you're like me, you just get the fitted sheet and the comforter because cut out the middleman.
Yeah. Right, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this is simple. It's great. Just have one big old sheet. If you need to vent, you just open it up. And
you just put the one leg out, and then that regulates your heat.
That's what I'm saying. You got the heat pipe, right? You just stick it out. You got the heat pipe.
The best part about and nobody's gonna be able to see it. It's just the three of us. But Eric every week always shows up with his Zoom screen from his Twitch behind him. So as he's alluding to the bed presumably behind him, and he looks over his shoulder, he's just looking at a bookcase, and that doesn't look very comfortable.
I sleep in the washing machine
with the tentacle monster.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so like kudos to the Dutch for figuring out how to sleep properly. Their beds have been extremely comfortable. But also, like I said, this place I'm in is spectacular.
My favorite thing about to make this about me again.
It's been about me for a long time. So please.
it's been uncomfortable. It's been almost 5 minutes since I've heard the sound of my own voice. I remember when I went to Amsterdam, which I loved Amsterdam. I wish definitely would love to go back. I loved it over there. But I remember like my host. It was the first time like I had a host family who was like the host was like very friendly and talked to us and like gave me some like really good advice about traveling in Amsterdam and like the museums and stuff like that. But the thing I couldn't like I struggled with is I was playing a D&D campaign, and my GM had this voice he did for this like weird like dwarf character that was that sounded like a fake accent that you hear on TV, and then the host sounded just like that. I was like, it's like if you take the Amsterdam card and you get free travel to museums, you get discount, but if you go Anne Frank Museum, you want to get day in advance. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Right? Yeah,
I'm like fuck you, Tom Lommel.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love it. You know, this is I know that the Dutch hate being confused for anything else as anybody. Like if somebody's like, hey, you're from the Midwest, oh man, Ohio, something Ohio, I'm just like, fuck you, because Ohio is not Michigan. It is totally different, right? Like
Michigan doesn't feel like, I get that Michigan is Midwest, but it doesn't feel like it's Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the weird thing. Like, oh, Midwest, Indiana, it's a different feel. Yeah, and so that's like, I feel like
when I think Midwest, I think flyover state we live in, like which Michigan doesn't feel like a flyover. Like Michigan has all the qualities of a Midwest state. It's big and empty, and like a lot of it is just farms, but it doesn't feel like that.
But that's the thing. Like it's close enough to Chicago. It's different. It's a different feel.
It's like
more
that whole like
Wisconsin.
Chicago, Michigan, like all of that feels like this weird like hub. Like it should be part of either the West
Canada.
Coast or the East Coast or Canada. But
Canada. I have talked to
the
more
whole
Canadians.
Great Lakes region doesn't feel like it should be called the Midwest, but it is.
Yeah, I don't feel it should be called like the Lake States or something. I don't know, whatever. But so like people don't like being confused for different things, and Dutch people especially don't like being called German, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like because they are their own thing clearly, and but for me, I've been to Germany so many times. A lot of Europe just gets like lumped together into like, oh, this is like the way the Germans do it, whatever. I'm aware of this, and I'm trying to be the best that I can to be totally blind to it. But when I came here, I totally forgot that Dutch people are ridiculously friendly. Like you don't have to make friends with them. You're just automatically friends with them. Where in Germany, you have to you don't make eye contact nearly as much. But here, people are waving and having a good time and just like, oh, look at those people. Like, oh, wow, look at those people. And like they want to talk to us, but we have these masks on and we're trying to quarantine and we're just like in this like fishbowl, like where people are like walking by and like waving and like they see our kid, they want to play and it's just like, sorry, we're quarantining. We're trying to take this very seriously. And so they're so friendly and it's so nice, and I feel very welcomed here, and I absolutely love it. So that's
not
my
a true American. A true American would be offended by it.
A true American would take their fucking mask off just when they legally can't stop you from doing it, and then walk around strutting.
It's just like one of those like
you'd have a T-shirt
stocking for a mask.
Says a T-shirt that says "I lubricate my gun with the
liberal tears,
yeah. and if you're reading this, you're too fucking close, partner."
My God. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to have like some like weird American nickname. Cause like even when I went out of state and I was like living in Kentucky, they called me Detroit. And I'm like, nah, man, okay, whatever. Like you've obviously never been there.
It's weird when that stuff happens. I remember like when I was a kid, we went on a Caribbean cruise and like people are like, oh, you're from California? It surfs up, dude. I'm like, I'm from fucking Sacramento.
Cowabunga.
And I don't go outside.
Do you see celebrities all the time? I was like, not in fucking Roseville. I mean, now that I'm in LA, I'm the kid they thought I was. But
yeah, maybe they shaped you and you didn't know it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I guess I got to move to LA because this is what everyone thinks I am.
It's exactly it. I don't know. I can't wait to see some like funky European like nickname they give to me, but we'll figure that out.
I will say, Joe.
Tex. Yeah. Oh God.
So if Amanda and I are ever invited to come visit Joe when the pandemic's over and all this jazz, it is now acceptable for you to invite us to go to an art gallery.
Okay. I just wanted to check with you. I did
because I went to visit. Story to this?
Yeah, no, I went to visit Joe in Michigan like a long time ago. I was like, so what do you want to do when you get here? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, there's an art museum. Like,
which museum?
I don't remember what museum. I'm like,
it's the Detroit Institute of Art, and it is a wonderful museum, and I should have took Ike there.
But I'm like, I'm an artist. Like, I don't go on vacation to other to see friends to then hang out in art museums.
But like for real though, the Detroit Institute of Art is pretty.
I'm sure it's fantastic, but at that
I just
point
feel
in my
like
life, I just didn't need more fucking art in my everyday life.
I could feel like
I get it.
Because I went to it because it was 3 blocks from the place I was staying. So,
but Joe ended up taking us to the Ford Car Museum, and like that was. I mean, it was probably the same for Joe though. He's like, I fucking see cars every day. Why did he?
No. See, I actually really like what I do. So
Joe fucking loves cars.
Yeah.
Joe is like a 5-year-old boy. He fucking loves cars.
I've been to the Henry Ford Museum dozens and dozens of times. It's like my favorite place.
He shows up there so often that they start putting him giving tours to people. He's like, I just know I don't work here. I know I'm here a lot, but
yeah, I legitimately could have given a tour of that place back when I went places that wasn't across the world.
For Amanda and I, you gave us a bit of a tour.
Did you
I was
see
like,
the
I
chair
didn't want to
Lincoln
go
got
to an
shot
art
in?
museum. Like, and then for a while, like, what kind of friend invites somebody to go to an
I've
art museum
seen-
when they go to see him? It's just fucking ridiculous. When they're
I've
an art
seen the
teacher.
room that Lincoln got shot in. I've seen the door Lincoln got shot that was carved open so that he could get through, and I've seen the bed Lincoln died in.
Oh my God, you got to see the chair. It's at the Henry Ford in Detroit.
Why is
in
it over
Dearborn.
there? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know either. It really caught me off guard, especially in second grade when they were talking about it. I'm like, oh, that's real blood.
Yeah.
Like, because we went there as a field trip, but like, I don't know why it's there. Did he get shot in Ohio and they just like gave it to Michigan?
He got
I don't
shot
know.
in D.C. I've been to the museum. They have the theater that is a museum now, and then across the street in the house he died in is
Yeah, but you know
is
what
also
they
a
don't
museum.
have? The chair he died in. So
That's
good.
true.
Yeah,
He didn't die in a chair. He died in the bed across the street.
that's just
So
something
fuck
they tell
you.
the tourists. He died in that chair. Oh my God. I don't know. I just feel like that's a great. I will try to find. I'll curate some interesting things when you come visit. When both you guys come visit, wherever I end up, because right now my plan is very open. We'll call it a very broad strategy.
That's how I like to move to Europe without a plan.
Without a plan, yeah.
No,
have
it's
friends,
experiencing
like
life.
mutual friends of ours, Joe, like Ryle and Chappie and them. They've been asking like, so what is Joe like? What is the plan? I'm like, he has
He's
gotten
being
there,
very-
and that is as far into
He's
the
very
plan.
vague about it.
Yeah, no.
It's like when I moved to Los Angeles.
Does he have a job? Well, he currently has a job, yes, and he's hoping to get another job, but he's not quite sure, and that depends on where he's going to end up.
And he's
living.
also not sure if he's going to keep his job because they might fire him.
And apparently, if it doesn't work out in a couple months, he'll be out of money and back in his parents' basement. So really, nobody knows what's going on.
everything that I wish I could talk to you guys about is currently under an NDA, and I can't mention it. But rest
So
assured,
there is a plan.
that-
You have. That's all I need to know. There is actually a plan.
Yeah,
You're not
just so, like
winging
every
it.
time you bring it up, you're like, I don't know what's going on. So you can just say like, there's a plan, but I can't talk about it, which
Yeah,
I would
am.
accept.
Yeah, I am legally bound to not talk about it
Thank
on my
you.
podcast.
Thank you, because for the past 6 fucking months, you're like, I don't know. I'd have no money, and all we've got, we're eating twigs. We're moving to Europe. I'll swim there in a fucking boat if I have to. And you're like, I don't know. I'm starved. We may starve. I don't know.
It's been mildly disconcerting as a friend who cares about you. I'm like, I hope that this
It's
works
like-
out for him because apparently he doesn't know what the hell's going on. But good on
reminds
him
me
for
of the
being able to
time-
live that dream.
Remember when I was 20, when I disappeared for a couple of months because I met a girl on the internet, and then I flew to Ohio, and then nobody heard from me for 2 months. It reminds
we were all
me of
very
that.
concerned.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. And you're an adult man with a child, not a 20-year-old idiot.
I was. We walked 500 or
not
1.5 kilometers to the testing center because we are getting tested for coronavirus because we're quarantining here in this country. And on the way back, after we got the thing stuck in my nose, they took it out. Don't worry.
It's still up there.
Yeah, like. I was asking Sarah, I'm like, hey, Sarah, did we just have a midlife crisis? Like, are we only going to live to 66?
That's what it sounds like to everyone else due to the lack of like how you were laying
Yeah.
this out. It was just
Yeah,
like you
it's-
decided to sell everything and move with no
Yeah.
plan.
But the thing is, we've been planning it since 2012 and just trying to do it as legally
You've been
as
trying to
possible,
get out of this country for a while, and I think
Yeah,
I
don't
think
put this pandemic
everyone-
on me.
I don't know. I think this is like I mean, when I remember when the last episode when I like had to run out and hang out with Kyle and get that mug from him, I remember I told him like, yeah, Joe's moving to Europe. Like his reaction and wasn't like, oh God, or like what? It was like, oh, lucky, like everyone's like a ton of people I know have been either moving out or trying to get out for a while now.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I was leaving during the Obama administration. Like that was already on my docket. So like everybody's like, "Oh, are you leaving because of Trump? Are you leaving because of coronavirus?" I'm like, "No, this has been my plan for a long time. It's just I legally have the paperwork and I'm a European citizen, so I can do that now." Like I was just trying to do it the right way. I just happened to be during the worst pandemic in like 100 years.
Yeah,
so.
you wanted to take the time to make sure that you could make it permanent and not like everyone else who's like, I'm going to go on a 6-month visa and hope I get a job or whatever,
Yeah, that's not. I can't do that. It's too much to risk. But
so Joe and I are complete opposites. So it's kind of like, if there are any kids out there and you want to learn a lesson, Joe's the way to go. Because I had plans, like, I didn't want to live in the United States. When I was getting out of college, I'm like, I'm gonna go like live in, like, I don't know, Ireland. That'd be kind of cool, or Japan. I'm gonna get out. I definitely don't want to live in Fall River because of the crime rate. So we've been looking at houses here in Fall River recently, and I mean, I gotta say the market's really coming up because Boston is they're putting trains in here, and so it's
yeah.
Oh,
that's awesome, dude! Buy now.
So they're jacking up all prices of the houses in the area.
I love how we're all just that old. They're like, they're adding trains, so like it's looking real nice in Fall River.
You've ridden through the worst of it. You got to pick up some more real estate, Ike, because home real estate is where it's at.
Use your and your wife's illustrious teacher salaries to invest in real estate.
Ike has so many rich uncles and aunts. Sorry, I got to say it right.
I'm investing in all of these 3D printers so that I can print my own house. So
Ike has more money than you and me combined, Eric.
That's not hard to have more money than me.
Well, I had to lump you in. I can't be like, Ike has more money than me, like, because that sounds like an asshole thing. But if I lump you,
you just sold all your possessions and moved to Europe. I should hope he has a little bit more.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace at least got me an extra $20.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace rocked it. I looked at him like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to pay capital gains on this. This is great. I'll be all right. No, it was. I had an insurance policy for $20,000 worth of stuff. I'm like, that was overkill by a lot. Like, I didn't have $20,000 worth of anything because everything I've been doing for the past basically 5 years has been temporary. Like, I knew I was going to move. So other than like my sim racing seat, which was the cost of like a decent Miata, like that was like the biggest thing I had, that in my car. So I don't know, but I don't know how we got on this. But yeah, buy property, Ike. Go be a real estate mogul in Fall Rivers.
Well, I mean, my wife's a real estate agent now at this point, but like, no, it's already getting to the point. Like, we can't buy real estate in this area. It's not because it's too expensive, but because anytime that we put down an offer, because on a house, we end up getting bid out because there are people that are like, there's a real estate agency over in Somerset that's like, hey, listen, they tell their clients, wherever you go, be prepared to put down $30,000 over asking price and tell them that you don't want to do a home inspection. So we're like, hey, we'll go 10 grand over. Boom, we lose it because we can't compete with these people coming in with $30,000 over.
Here's the move.
People are running out of the cities and they have a lot more disposable income than people who live in this out there, and so they can throw money at their.
Ike's about to get gentrified.
He is
gentrified. That's what's going to happen.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
My mom sent me an article that said one of the best up and coming places to live on the East Coast right now is Fall River.
Good, great. You live there, and don't you own the property you live on though? Or
no, I don't own it. My father-in-law owns it.
Just have him write it to you in the will.
The two of us.
Yeah. Do it now.
And like we kind of, because now we own both, or we don't know, we rent both top apartments. So when it snows out, I'm usually the one that tries to help like shovel and whatnot.
But that's the thing. Like, you just, you get that in the will, and you just wait around for a while. Boom, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
And the way the way your father-in-law is probably handling the virus, like, it's sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm saying, like,
you should make cases, so
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you'll be all right. Be a wealthy landowner, and then like just rent out the two bottom ones for Airbnb.
You ever realize how like you ever notice, like, do you have like that rich friend that had like comes from money, but you never really realize how much until like, because like I've got a friend who will remain nameless, who like we were talking, like we'll talk sometimes, like when I first met him, like we were like, I'd known him for like a month or two, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be out of town for a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, what's up? He's like, well, my parents were like they're upset because we all moved out and whatever, so they're doing a family vacation. We're spending a month in Africa. I was like, what? It's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, my parents just bought it. And they do that every year. His parents buy like a big trip for the whole family. Like they were in Italy last year and stuff like that. And then like, and I like slowly learned things about him. Like we were talking once and he's like, yeah, my dad bought an apartment complex and then like put it in like his and his other siblings' names as well. So that they get like, so that like they have this investment. And I was like, okay. Yeah. And then like during the pandemic, he was living with them. And then and they bought a townhouse in the city because they were like, oh well, because we go to the city a lot and we don't want to sometimes we want to sleep over. And he was staying in that townhouse, and I was like, Jordan, you're aware that they bought this townhouse so that to convince you to move back home. He's like, that's 100% what it is. And then the other week, a couple of weeks ago,
you realize you just said this person's name, by the way, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's fine. And then like a couple of weeks ago or a month or two ago, he's like, yeah, my parents got a new boat. And so we're going to go down to the boat. It's a fucking yacht.
What?
It's a fucking yacht. He showed us around. I was like, fuck you and your yacht money, piece of shit. Also, you got it. He's like, you got to let us go on the yacht. Yeah, he's like, oh, absolutely. When this is all over, we're gonna like go on the yacht. And he's like the guy, like Gary, the boat captain, like will take us places and stuff like that.
He has a boat like you have once you have a yacht, you have to have a crew. Like
yeah,
because
he has.
Thing.
They pay
huge
a guy.
investment.
They have a guy that like drives around the boat. They pay this man to
so like the world I come from.
It's a yacht. It's got like 8 or something like rooms in it, like bedrooms in it. Like it's a yacht.
Oh
like
my God.
Yeah.
It's like a hotel that floats.
Yes. It's like,
God.
fuck this guy, but also like it's good to be friends with him.
But that's like I'm the working class guy that has those friends. Like so it's like I can use their stuff, or I know them, or I'm like adjacent to that, but I've never lived that life, right? So
I will say he's never like he's always been on his own feet as far as I've known. He's never been like he doesn't take his parents' money as far as I can see. Like he lives he just lives like every other friend I have. He just happens to have rich parents.
But that's it. And like they have equity in things and investments.
Yeah,
he's like
like if shit hit the fan, he would land on his feet fine.
But that's it. It's like this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately because I'm burning through so much money doing all this. Is like I stopped viewing money as like a status symbol and started viewing it as like a tool. Like how many of these little tools do I have, and what does it take to get this done? And it's really changed the way my relationship with money, and for the better, really, because it's like there's scarcity, how just like putting things down to like, okay, I'm gonna spend this much time doing that. If I'm doing this thing and it is making this much, is that worth my time to do? And just looking at it in a very nuts and bolts way, it is changed my perspective greatly. But having the rich friend and not knowing they're rich is the exact right thing, right? Like that makes you feel endeared. Endeared, is that it? It makes you feel good about it. And but like I had the opposite experience where like I was hanging out with these U of M like doctors and like or pre-med people, and I'm from a blue collar town, and my dad went from like lower class to upper middle class, which is about as much as you can ask for. And, and I'm very grateful for all that. And so they're talking about like their preparatory schools and like all these different things. And they're bringing up concepts and things that I never learned about. And I was like, okay, it's med school stuff, so I don't know this. But then they're like, no, we learned that in high school. I'm like, what high school did you go to? Yeah. And they started bringing up all these different things that I just were totally out of my realm. And we invited them over to our house, and like I was trying to like make friends with these people because they seemed like cool people.
So
but
this
once they
is
started,
where you keep the car, but where's your house? No, this is my house.
Exactly. Like, oh wow, we remember this is like my Aunt Judy's place. Oh man, she's got it rough and this and that.
I've never had.
They're saying all this like offhanded stuff that right. Like they're saying like all this offhanded stuff that it's like they don't even see it as classist. It's just like whatever.
You can't see past your own privilege. It's funny because like I grew up I did not grow up working class, blue collar. It was funny. I grew up very upper middle class, and so it's funny because like a lot of my friends grew up poor. I remember like we'll talk sometimes. They'll they'll be like, "Hey, remember when you were a kid and you used to do this?" I was like, "No, my parents always kind of had money, so it's so I'm usually I wasn't rich, but I was always like very, very well off as a kid, and that's I try and be very aware of that. But it's always so weird when I have friends that come from wealthier families than me, because I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what it's like for them when they try and relate to me, because I can't relate to him.
You know how I knew Eric was rich in his childhood, Ike, is when he talked about his Ghostbusters pack things that he had when he was a kid. This is 200 episodes ago, but Eric was talking about how he had the full Ghostbusters
backpack,
and meanwhile you had a cardboard box with a couple of
I had that. I had the backpack. I had the little thing. You threw it up. You stepped on it.
The little trap.
It would open the trap. Yeah, I didn't realize that that other kids didn't have that. My worst birthday was the time my dad bought me a cheap Walmart paintball gun instead of the one I wanted, and then my mom
eagle.
Yeah, it was a brass eagle, and then my mom got mad at him and then made him go get the one I wanted. That was $200.
So you got a Piranha then?
No, I got it's the Spider TL Plus, which I still own.
Oh yeah, Spider TL Plus. Oh god, that was
I was never not aware of it, but I'll talk with my friends and they'll be like, oh yeah, this and this, and I'm like, I can't relate to that because I did not have it.
Were you the rich friend? Did you have the Power Rangers and the Ghostbuster toys?
No, but I definitely had friends that had the Ghostbuster toys, but I never was for want. So I think I was just blissfully ignorant of where my parents fell.
Because it was my parents were that level of it was that comfortable, but also crippling credit card debt all the time. So it always felt like a house of cards ready to collapse, So I always assumed we weren't that well off. And then I remember the wake up call was when I was in high school, and we were in my senior year, we're our economics class, which is bullshit and doesn't teach you how to do taxes.
Oh God.
But people were I remember people were like, how much would you have to make a year to consider yourself rich? And people and the class consensus in 2003 was, if I can make $100,000 a year, I would think I was rich. And then, and I mean, we were in high school and stuff like that. So there's some, we don't know how the world works, but I remember thinking, my parents make almost twice that. It's and I thought we were poor.
It's so weird. And it's you're talking about, seeing beyond your privilege,
because we had a 2-story house that was very nice, 2-car garage, all that stuff, but there were a lot of houses around a couple blocks away that were the bigger, nicer houses. So I thought, we have the poor shitty house. But no, if anyone who had this kind of a house was well off, it's just those people were even more well off.
That's great. Well, you probably went to a really good school too.
I
That's
did.
Great.
I went to an incredible school, because in the 2nd grade they diagnosed me with a learning disability and helped me figure it out. My parents didn't have to hire a tutor or any of that stuff. Public education, and they didn't cure me, but they made me a very functioning member of society all through public school. I was incredibly privileged. I don't understand. They caught it so early that I struggle sometimes to remember what it was like before I had all the tools to conquer my learning disability as well as I do.
Yeah, he's still
Eric's the rich
anxiety,
friend.
So
yeah, crippling anxiety.
That's
oh my gosh,
other things.
Yeah.
I was a very confident kid. I don't
want to hang up just yet, Joe. I
gotta go. I have to go.
I'm not allowed to.
I really gotta go.
Well, then we'll continue the show without you.
Okay. What's up? What?
I was just gonna say, BlizzCon. Watched it. I was a little sad.
Oh, yeah.
If I had to put it all into a minute and a half because you had to go. Yesterday's opening ceremonies were hey, this is the new thing for World of Warcraft. By the way, we have classic mode that we know you all like, but we're also going to put out Burning Crusade so that some of you may want to go from the classic mode to the classic Burning Crusade mode. Now, we also have Diablo coming out. Now, there's new Diablo stuff, but for those of you who like that classic feeling, we're going to be putting out Diablo 2. We're just going to remaster it and repackage it for you. Now, there's also Hearthstone. Now, some of you may not have had the chance to experience Hearthstone when the first sets came out. Even though you own all the cards, we're going to be putting out the Hearthstone Classic, so you can go back and experience that. And then they're like, to wrap up opening ceremonies, we're going to have a special guest come do some music. It was Metallica, who also did, BlizzCon in 2014. So it just feels like they're no longer trying to make it shiny, repackage it, and like sell it to you
Also,
like, hey, it's kind of cool. It's just like, no, we've fucking run out of ideas.
Also, Twitch Gaming had to cut away, or like had to cut the music because they were worried they were going to get DMC'd by Metallica playing a live concert on Twitch.
Metallica comes back like, you can't play that on our thing.
Yeah, it's like they're playing an 8-bit version of Metallica because they don't want to get taken down by the site that their Twitch's official gaming channel was like, we can't play this live concert because DMCA is fucking bullshit.
So it was, to me, it was like, oh man, like they're not even trying anymore. I'm really sad.
But I'm very excited for Diablo 2 Remastered.
I am not.
See,
do you guys have any plugs this week? Because I gotta wrap it up. I'm
mostly
so
Eric on all the social medias and Twitch where I play video games.
Ike_Dodge on Instagram, putting out more art there.
Are you actually? You've been putting out a lot of art. Okay, well, I will try to catch up with you guys someday soon. Maybe there'll be more episodes. It's just gonna be, who knows from now on. Follow me on Twitter. I'll update when I can at JoeQCar. Also, if you guys want to email the show, you can. The show at justcoolenough.com. Talk to you later. I gotta go. Bye. I gotta go. I'll see you later. Bye.
Just go.
Yeah.
Why are you pantomiming that you're leaving? You're still just leave the call. Leave the call. Nobody's.
I will call you guys later. I gotta go. No, I gotta go. You guys don't understand.
I'm leaving.
I'm not. I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna make him wait it out until he hangs up.